Hello again, welcome back. Today I'm going to make a risotto using tomatoes and parmesan cheese and a very specific kind of rice. I'm going to use Arborio rice, which is a medium grain rice, as opposed to the long grain American rice that we sometimes use to accompany curries and things like that. And this is a pudding rice, this is a round grain. So we've got round grain and long grain, but we're going to use a medium grain, and this is Arborio, but you could use Carnaroli or Vialone Nano. Now I've got everything prepared for our risotto, and so I've chopped one onion finely, and because I'm making enough for 3 people I need 200 grams of chopped tomatoes, and really they need to be skinned, and you can do this either by dropping them into boiling water or, as I've done, holding them in a gas flame, and that chars the skin and then you can peel it off quite easily. And then you finish up with your skinned tomato, and I just simply need to make some room and cut that roughly. And if I keep it on the fork, I keep that core part of the tomato that I can get rid of. I don't want that, so that's going to go over there. And then I'm ready with my tomatoes. I've got 200 grams of rice, I've got a glass of white wine, and I've got some parmesan cheese ready. So what I'm going to do first of all is start to gently fry the oil in a pan which has a lid. You'll need a lid at the end. So 2 tablespoons of oil, and then we'll go over to the cooker and we'll start to fry the onions. Now I'm going to heat the oil up, and I'm going to add my chopped onion and get that to fry until it's softened and becoming a little bit transparent. There we are. And while this is happening, I've also got my stock. Now I'm going to be needing about 1 litre of stock, chicken or vegetable. And it's very difficult to be precise about exactly how much you're going to need. So I've got 1 litre, I might need it all, but I might need to just add a bit more boiling water as well. It all depends on which rice you use, what brand of rice you use as well, because they absorb the liquid at different rates. So here I've got 1 litre of chicken stock that's simmering, and I've got my ladle ready because we're going to add it very gradually, and the whole thing will take about 20 minutes, and you will need to stand and stir for that time. So the onions are starting to sizzle, and we just need them to be a little bit transparent and soft. The onions are softening nicely, they're becoming a little bit transparent. And so the next thing we add is the rice. I've got, for 3 people, I've got 200 grams of rice. And we toast it carefully, just for a minute or 2, turning it over in the olive oil so it gets coated. And then we start adding liquid, but the very first liquid we add is a glass of white wine. And it should sizzle. There we are. Smells lovely, and it just adds to the depth of flavour. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to, you can start straight away with stock, but traditionally in Italy it's always a glass of wine. Don't use red because you'll make your risotto go pink. So once that's all absorbed, then we start to add our stock, and as I said, the rice will absorb the liquid in its own time, but start to finish it should take 20 minutes. So I'm going to set the timer for 10, because at the 10-minute stage I can add my tomatoes. So we'll get this to disappear, and then I'll start with a ladle of stock. I've turned the heat down a little bit because I don't want this to actually sizzle and burn, and you might be able to see that actually there's much less liquid now. The rice has absorbed the wine, and so now I can start adding my stock, 1 ladleful at a time. And you don't add the next one until that one has disappeared. And because it's hot, it doesn't reduce the temperature in the pan. If you're not sure when to add your next ladleful, just draw your spoon through, and if it just ripples back together again slowly, then you're okay, but it's about time. You don't want it to be absolutely dry, so whilst there's still a little bit of liquid left, add your next one. And you keep going like this until your 10-minute timer goes off. Oh, there we go. That's my 10 minutes. The rice has begun to swell, and it's time to add my tomatoes. So 10 minutes have gone, in they go. And because they're quite wet, I'm not going to add any liquid for a minute or two. But I'm going to stir those in. And if you think the pieces are too big, gradually you can start to break those up. And of course you can use other flavourings, you can be a bit more adventurous once you've mastered the technique. But here we go, another 10 minutes. And if you're concerned that you're going to run out of stock, you can always put a little bit more in from the kettle, just to dilute it a tiny bit, but it will give you the confidence that you're not going to run out. Make sure you put boiling in there to top it up. And we keep going for the next 10 minutes and our tomatoes will cook, they'll soften, and I'll break them up into slightly smaller pieces so that they'll be spread throughout the mixture more evenly. If you don't want to skin your tomatoes, what you can do is cut them into pieces, 3 or 4 pieces, and use them with the skin. And as they cook, the skin will peel off, but you need to count the pieces out as you take out the tomato skins. So if you've cut your tomatoes each one into 4, you've got to have multiples of 4 pieces of skin that you take out. It's entirely up to you, but I prefer to do mine beforehand. And I do them in the gas flame because if you do them in boiling water, they really do cook and go a bit mushy, and they're quite difficult to peel. So just keep going. We're a few minutes into our second 10 minutes. What you're looking for when your risotto is done, and it isn't quite ready yet, is that when you pull your spoon through it, there should be some liquid that falls into the channel that you've made. Obviously, this is too wet at the moment, but when the time is up, I'll show you how we need to just get that slight ripple of liquid in the channel. I've been breaking up the tomatoes so they're getting smaller. Saves you doing too much chopping. We've still got quite a lot of free liquid there. Now I've got 3 minutes left on the clock, and if I pull that through, it's still quite moist. I don't want to add too much liquid at this stage because I haven't got time for it to evaporate off. So I'm going to be a little bit less generous with the stock. So when I add the next one, I might only add half a ladle because I don't want the thing to be too wet at the end. So just gauge how wet it is at the sort of 2-minute stage. And if you feel you want to add some more stock because it's drying out, add half a ladleful. And that's getting towards the texture that we're looking for at the end. It's still a little bit wet, but I don't want it now to sort of stick and start to burn, so I've got to just keep an eye on it. There are some recipes where you shove everything in the oven and you just let it do it on its own, and honestly it doesn't work very well. You're much better being patient and trying this out, and if you've never done it before, it's a lovely thing to do. Give it a whirl, see how you feel. That's what we're looking for. That's the ripple. You pull it through and just a little bit of liquid fills the gap. So we're nearly there, but we've got 2 minutes, so just a tiny drop of stock. Just to stop it from sticking. And then, when the timer goes off, we're going to add our parmesan, and then we let it rest. We just let it sit for 2 minutes, and then it's ready to serve. And if you wanted to make this look a bit more colourful, you could put some flat leaf parsley in there. Mine isn't very nice at the moment, so I'm not putting any in, but it would give it that speckly green effect, which is quite colourful. You can see it's getting a bit stickier. The channel is staying before the liquid comes back in to close it up. That is our 10 minutes, our second 10 minutes. So I'll just stir that last little drizzle in, and the texture, if you watch this, and you see how the channel slowly closes, it's not too wet. I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to now add 2 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese. Generous ones, obviously. And then each person can add more if they want to at the table. So that's the Parmesan. We'll give that a stir. We're going to put in a jolly good twist of pepper at this stage, but not salt. And then the lid is going to go on. And it's got 2 minutes now to rest. and then it's ready to serve, and you need to serve it in a bowl. You can have a green salad alongside it. I think you'll enjoy it. I'll show you what it looks like when I serve it. Right, that's our 2 minutes, so we're ready to serve rather. You do need to stir, give it a bit of a stir, get the cheese thoroughly mixed, and then you've got your bowls ready, and you simply serve your lovely risotto in a nice bowl. And that's all there is to it. Have a go, like, share, subscribe, send us a photo if you have a go at it. Bye for now.